Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's crack-a-lackin', fantasy champs?
What's up?
Feels good to be back. Feels good to be back in the chair.
Dude, I know. It's been a minute.
It's been a hot minute, but now we're fire hosing multiple shows at you. We had to break the other show down into two episodes here. Maybe we'll do this for the remainder of the month. Hold on a second there. Sorry. All of the wires underneath my desk are getting all confuzzled.
I was like, what just happened? I thought you cut out.
You and I are going to hear that. The people listening will not.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be edited out.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a wire on my iPad. I don't know if you can see it on YouTube here, but it's a disaster. So anyway, we're back. Good to be back. We are going to do the second half of the show that we were supposed to do. Maybe we'll just break all of these down into their individual breakdown shows. But today we'll talk about if we can figure out how to speed it up, I could just do it in one show. We'll see.
Yeah.
Today's today's show is a test case to see if we can actually do it. But we'll talk about the AFC North today, which consists of the Denver Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's AFC West, bro.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Vision you got there.
I cannot believe I did that. Excuse me. The Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati. I was literally looking at the wrong sheet, reading the wrong names. Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, and Pittsburgh Steelers. So this should be a really interesting show. Some big changes happened to some of these teams, for good and for bad. But we will break it all down here. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick with me. What's poppin', Rick?
What's going on?
You having a good week so far?
Oh yeah, dude. Ready to talk football.
I'm ready for the 4th of July. I was hoping to sit in the sun and just get scorched. Just absolutely get baked. Because it's the only way.
That sounds like a good time.
It's the only way to get tanned in this society anymore. Is just burn yourself and then wait for the peeling to come off.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's supposed to be cloudy where we are.
Oh, what? Really? The 4th?
I was kind of pissed off. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, it should be interesting. But before we jump into the AFC North breakdown, be sure to follow us on all social platforms. Just search the FF Champs or the Fantasy Champions. You'll find us on those platforms. We tweet, post TikToks, we do all that stuff. So be sure to check it out. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platform, stop at the pod, leave a review, hit the share button, share it with a friend, and then come back. That's all we ask. That's the only payment necessary. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below any questions you may have, even if they're rage-filled and anger, and you're saying, I disagree. I think A.J. Dillon is the greatest running back in the history of the league.
Yep. We'll take the comments.
We'll take the comments.
Even if they're dead wrong.
Yeah. even if they're dead wrong. So yeah, do all that stuff. Let's jump into the AFC North breakdown. All right.
Yep.
Let's start with the Baltimore Ravens here. Baltimore,
division winners.
Their division. Did they win the division last year?
They won the division. They won, 13 games? 14 games? They won a lot of games.
Oh, they won a lot.
Made the AFC Championship and lost to the Chiefs.
I love a football team that doesn't have a solid wide receiver one. Like a
you hating on my man's Zay Flowers right now?
Oh, no, I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying there's not one guy on the team that's like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not yet. We'll see this year. Not yet. But
they won 13-4 last year.
Yeah, I love how they win.
By running the ball.
Yeah. Lamar just likes to run it all over the place. So anyway, so Lamar Jackson's still the quarterback. They didn't really make massive amounts of changes, but they did add Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans, who, we were talking about this on the last show, the old man contracts. This is an old man contract. Could it be over for Derrick
He showed
Henry?
signs last year falling off, too.
Should I name the show that? Is it over for Derrick Henry? But anyway, we'll start with the quarterback position. Currently, starting quarterback is Lamar Jackson. I am curious, my G, did he finish playing every single game? 16 football games.
He did.
That is impressive. I don't like that. No, sirree.
You saying he's due?
Nope. I won't say that out loud, but
he
it might
could have
it
back-to-back healthy years. I
could
could see that.
Yeah, the Patriots could win the Super Bowl.
Okay. That's a little. I would bet $1 million on Lamar having a healthier season than the Patriots.
winning this. That's fair. That's fair. Yes. So Lamar was pretty much healthy last year, which is great for him. Hopefully he does stay healthy this year. A lot of times, like, I'll look at the health of a player when I'm drafting him if they have a long, lengthy historical list of injuries or they're coming off an injury. As long as the player is healthy and they're not coming off an injury, I don't see any reason why you should not draft the guy just based on, he's due for an injury. So ignore everything I just said. You should be drafting Lamar. You should have him on your team. He's in that box of, like, he's good every year. He rushes well every year. I don't know what his strength of schedule looks like, so that's where I would probably rank him higher or lower based on that. But looking at the he was quarterback 3 last season, playing 17 games. But looking at the rankings on Fantasy Pros, he is currently the QB4. So that's probably a safe bet for him.
Yeah.
He does disappoint a lot of the time in fantasy football. Like, I feel like he's like a dude that, like,
he's a big game player.
He has these big games and you're like, yeah. And then he has like a 10-point game and you're like, what the hell? Like, so he's a boomer bust quarterback. I'll
say like last year, I don't know, did I have Lamar Jackson? I think I did. Or I had Mark Andrews, I think. I did watch some Ravens games last year, and there'll be games where Lamar will just have like 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 200 passing yards, like 50 rushing yards, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like that would happen a lot. And they would have touchdowns, but they would have like 4 rushing touchdowns. Or like 3 rushing touchdowns for Gus Edwards, and like that would be it.
Unbelievable.
Or he'd have like 1 passing touchdown or 1 rushing touchdown. So his touchdowns were a little low last year. And I think an interesting thing to keep your eye on is his rushing yards based on like a per game basis was the lowest of his career last year. And I don't know if that's just random or if that's because he's in his 7th year in the league now.
He's maturing.
6th or 7th year. I think he might be getting older. So his rushing might not be as good as it was 5 years ago.
Okay, all right. See, that's a different turn than I
saw. Still really good. I mean, he rushed for 800 yards. But, last year he rushed for almost 800 yards and he only played in 12 games. And in 2020, he rushed for 1,000 yards. And in 2019, he rushed for 1,200 yards. So still one of the best rushers in the league at the quarterback position, but he might be taking a small hit.
Okay, Lamar.
Because he still has the rushing attempts, but his rushing yards per game was the lowest of his career.
Interesting.
So keep your eye on that.
Interesting.
Still ridiculously good. He's still Lamar Jackson, and QB4 right now is where he's ranked, and that's probably where I would take him.
That might change this year. Because if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm playing the Baltimore Ravens, I might not sleep a wink all week. Getting ready for the tandem that is Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry.
A lot of people are going to be on board on that tandem.
I
do think.
Go ahead.
I think it won't be that bad because I know Derrick Henry is 1 billion years old, but that team has a really good offensive line, and they run the ball really well. And they run the ball a lot. So, like, I think they'll still have their numbers, but I do get what you're saying. It's not really going to lose sleep over a 30-year-old Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah. I mean, well, who knows? Maybe they will. But I do think it does make it a little bit more challenging for defensive coordinators to like if Derrick Henry ends up being good, even being 30 years old, I think that might make Lamar Jackson a more efficient runner and passer, just because they're gonna have to deal with Derrick Henry at some point.
Yeah,
So
that is true.
That could be the case. But in terms of fantasy football for Derrick Henry, we did see some really good games. Finally, Gus Edwards is out of here, and we saw some good games from Keaton Mitchell last year before he got hurt. So, you were kind of hoping that Keaton Mitchell would be the guy taking over the job if you were in Dynasty and you had shares of him, which I don't. But
is he undrafted though, or like a sixth? Like he was like
hold on a second,
a late round pick or something.
He was the undrafted, but he's fast. He's really fast. So I mean, he's a good second guy, but I mean, in my mind, looking in this backfield, Justice Hill not great. Everyone else is just mid, and then you have Keaton Mitchell, who is an undrafted player.
Derrick Henry's gonna get
he's gonna
at least 250 carries
He's gonna eat. He might even get 300 touches if he's healthy, but So, I mean, you could take the volume play, especially if you took a big risk at running back earlier in the draft.
Yeah.
I would take the volume play of Derrick Henry. Just be wary that it might not look great on the season. But yeah, so and then Henry has been healthy for a long time. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's due, but Keaton Mitchell sitting behind Derrick Henry, like I'd still draft Keaton Mitchell.
Okay.
Because he might have a role, and then if Henry gets hurt, Mitchell would good shot as he'd take over.
Yeah.
So I guess I like Keaton Mitchell more than Rick does, but the running back position, that's all they got. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, Mitchell as a handcuff is great. The problem that I have with Mitchell is outside the fact that he was undrafted, because he was pretty good last year. He's 5'8", 190. Like, that's not a guy you're going to give 20 carries a game.
He can't handle full
If Derrick Henry gets hurt, I think they would probably use multiple guys again, like they did last year.
But like if he's getting 200, 170 to 200 carries, but they're using him out of the backfield pass catching. That could change things.
The problem is the Ravens, like just looking at last year,
they don't pass the running back position.
He was getting like 1 target, 2 targets. Like he never got more than 2 targets in the game. And then I don't think that's Mitchell's fault. I think it's just how the Ravens
run
football. So, but no, I think he would be a good handcuff. And there's always a chance that Derrick Henry gets hurt, especially at his age and the work volume that he's going to get. And we've been so down on Henry the last couple of years. It was kind of right last year because he was RB like 8 or 9, and he played a full 17 games. So on a point per game basis, I don't think he was top 10. But
yeah.
I will say, if he is your RB2, I don't mind that. Considering the volume that he's going to get.
Oh, Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't mind that. I think he's RB13 right now. I don't know if I would do that. But like if he starts falling and like he's like RB like I don't know 17, 18, he gets in that range, like I take a flyer on him in that offense with the amount of touches he's going to get. But for a fact he's going to be like by the time we get to August, September, he's probably going to be like top 10.
Yeah. It depends on if people think like if they have the same ties to Derrick Henry. Because I know the external thought process is the same Derrick Henry that you had on the Titans, who was really good, just went to a better football team.
Yeah.
With more upside offensively for him to score.
How many 30-year-old running backs in the history of the NFL has put up like really good years? I'd be very curious to see that.
It's a value thing for me. Like if he's a good value, like smash it. Smash the draft board. And we'll let you know as we go along and when we're drafting whether we think he's a good value or not. But like if he's going off and he's your first running back in like a zero running back strategy, or maybe he's a 3rd round pick, like that's too much. So, but anyway,
this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I looked up some of the best running backs. Like at their point in their career. Priest Holmes was the last 30-plus-year-old running back to have a top 5 fantasy finish.
Oh.
And that was in 2003.
Wow.
So it's been 20 years.
You should tweet that. That's crazy.
Very interesting.
Yeah, maybe Derrick Henry's the second. I don't think so though. Okay, let's talk about the wide receivers. Really quickly. This team runs a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. 74% of the time do they do that. So you're going to see Zay Flowers, you're going to see Rashad Bateman, and then you're going to see one of these other guys, i.e. Nelson Aguilar. They did draft Tez Walker from UNC in the, I want to say it was the 4th round. Yeah, 413 is where they drafted him. He does have some upside. I don't know. I definitely think he's probably better than Nelson Aguilar, but Aguilar will probably start the season as the number 3 guy, and then Tez will take over as the season goes along in that slot. I do think number 2 is up for grabs because Bateman is injury prone, and while he's had some really
there's still Bateman truthers out there.
I know there's still Bateman truthers. While he's because he was a really, really good wide receiver. This year he struggled, but there were moments in his first 2 seasons where he was really good. Like he played 6 games and averaged 9 fantasy points per game. I don't know. I think that's PPR, which isn't great, but he had 374 yards and 2 touchdowns in 6 games. So like he was headed for a decent season. And then obviously got hurt. And then last year he played a bunch of games and got hurt. And you're in the Baltimore Ravens offense where there's a lot of passing. There's a lot of rushing, and the passing numbers are a little bit deflated. And so it takes your target share away. You have to be efficient, and Bateman just isn't. So if like you're the second guy on the team, can he get overtaken by Tez Walker? I don't know. But Bateman's a guy that, if I had to guess, he's probably falling into the 10th to 15th round in drafts, and I don't even know if I want to touch it because he's a Ravens receiver, which doesn't typically work out, which leaves Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
So
who I like. My guy. I do want to correct myself. I said that, who did I say? That running back from 2003 was the only guy to finish in the top 5.
Yes.
There's actually been like 4 or 5 guys, but it's still not a big list.
No,
Derrick Henry. Raheem Mostert this past year is 31 years old.
Yep.
And I think was top 5.
Yes, sir.
Adrian Peterson was 1 at age 30. And then Curtis Martin back in 2004. So still going back a long way.
That's not a lot of guys.
But yeah, it's not a big list. Like once a running back hits 30, it's rare for those guys to have top 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And when it comes to the receivers, I think I would be maybe willing to take a flyer on Bateman, but it's just really hard. He had such a bad year last year.
Yeah.
I feel like when I watched him play, though, when Bateman gets the ball, like he still looks good. He just doesn't get the ball. And the problem is, I don't know if that changes just because Odell's not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know if they're going to try to give him the ball more or if he is what he is. So it's hard for me to trust him maybe as like a late round flyer. We'll see. But Zay Flowers, the guy that I like, had a really good rookie year last year. Also had a big playoffs. I believe, just off the top of my head, I remember that touchdown catch he got against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember the fumble he got as well. But he had moments, right, as a rookie last year. And he felt like he was a wide receiver 1 last year as a rookie. So going into year 2 with Odell gone might have some more responsibility. Mm-hmm. I do like Zay Flowers. I don't really know where he's going, so that could change it. Fantasy Pros has him ranked as wide receiver 26. So
Underdog
they have guys like Malik Neighbors and Amari Cooper over him. Mm-hmm. I think I would take Zay Flowers over those guys. So not too bad of a range, but to me, he could be a really, really, like if he's your flex, your wide receiver at 3, I love that.
Yeah, I agree. He was wide receiver 31 last year, so if he takes steps forward, I think, like I said, the hard part with the Ravens offense is they have Mark Andrews. They don't pass the ball a lot. So, like, there's just not, you're not going to have a situation where a guy like Zay Flowers gets 150 targets or 160 targets this year. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
But can he go? Because he had 108, so can he go from like 108 to 125?
125 would be perfect for him, and I think that would put him in the wide receiver 2 range, which is fantastic. I would put him. That would put him in the same conversation as the wide receiver 2s in the league, like Devonta Smith and it's Devonta Smith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Caff, some of those guys. So, yeah, I like that with Zay. Really quickly, Mark Andrews. Have you heard anything about his legs?
He should be fine. I think he came back last year in the playoffs. So
okay, good.
He has a full off season to recover. But yeah, he should be okay. And when he's healthy, I think he's tight end 3 right now.
He's tight end 1 when he's
4.
He's tight end 1. Is he
going to finally be a value?
Yeah, he might be a value, but he's tight end 1 when healthy.
What is it?
I said he's tight end 1 when he's healthy.
Yeah. Well, I think he's healthy. I think people are just maybe a little down on Andrews this year. Mm-hmm. But
I don't to chase injuries. So I'm going to have a conversation with
myself. Well, what was it? He literally returned last year in the playoffs. So he should be fine. I don't think he's injured, unless it's just people saying he's injury prone.
Maybe he's old.
He's 28.
They're saying, this guy's old.
I don't know. If people are down on Andrews, I might be back in.
might be back in. All right, that's it with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's move to the Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll talk about some things that they did this offseason. Most of their bad stuff that happened to them was the defense. Their defense collapsed. They don't have a lot of guys left on the defensive side of the ball. So they're
pretty much the same team. They had a lot of injuries last year.
Yeah.
Did Burrow even play half a season last year?
No, I don't believe so.
I'm going to look it up. How many games did Joe Burrow play?
All right, so I'll go through this. But anyway,
he played 10 games.
Some of the additions that they added in the offseason, I think this guy, let's see, Chase Brown was drafted in 2023, 5th-round pick.
Yes.
They don't have... What's his name? Why am I
Joe Mixon?
Blanking? Joe Mixon. Thank you. They don't have Joe Mixon anymore.
Mixon's gone. Tyler Boyd is gone.
Mixon's gone. Tyler Boyd is also gone. T. Higgins is there, but holding out. So, they got some stuff going on the offensive side. Would you say they're a disaster?
I said it could be.
Oh, it could be a disaster. And then Mike Gesicki signed with the team as their lone, I would say lone large addition in the offseason. I don't even know if you want to call him a large addition, but he's probably way happier in Cincinnati than in New England with Mac Jones. So it'll be interesting. But let's break this down, because there's some opportunity on this team that wasn't there before. Joe Burrow is back. Hopefully.
Joe Mid.
Whoa.
I'm kidding, bro. I love Burrow.
Yeah. That's...
Although, is he overrated?
No, he just got hurt. Clearly not, because his whole team is crap without him.
Yeah, that's true.
So fantasy football wise, I don't think he can go, especially with the new guys that we now have from last year's draft and this year's draft. I think Joe Burrow is capped because he doesn't have rushing upside. QB 6, 7, 8 at his best.
Yeah. The problem is, he is capped for the rushing, but with a guy like Burrow, don't you think it's possible he could just have 40 passing touchdowns and be QB1 without any rushing?
Yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah.
He could have just an MVP type season just by passing the ball. So he's capped, but he's not capped. Because if he's the best passer in the league, he doesn't need to rush. It's like the year, Brady back in the day was still QB1 or QB2 some years because he threw 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
No, that's fair.
He has to have that.
It's extremely difficult to throw 40 touchdowns, though. That's the if you're just talking about Burrow in a normal good season.
Yeah, his average season is not going to be that.
it's gonna be somewhere between QB7 and QB10. So, but still fantastic for fantasy football. I have him as my QB2 in a Superflex Dynasty League. Oh, so nice. So nice. Just win all of the games. But he should be fine this year. As far as the receivers, like their offensive line is looking kind of normal. They did add Orlando Brown, I believe, this offseason from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So their offensive line looks, actually, I would say slightly better than it was last year.
I think it is better.
So
I think that was a focus for them.
So because of that, you're going to see some of the wide receivers. I think we'll talk about them in a second, but
They also took Amarius Mims, 18th overall, who's a right tackle.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, they really added to that offensive line. So Burrow should be fine protected, and he should have a good season if I had to take a guess. So there's nothing here that would alarm me about Joe Burrow and having a bounce back year. But
not worried about the wrist injury?
I'm not worried about the wrist injury, no.
Okay.
But what I would be worried about is their running game, because they lose Joe Mixon and they just were like, running backs? Who needs them?
Need it.
Who needs them? They went out and
they should make a trade with the Packers.
Say it again?
They should make a trade with the Packers. Get one of their guys.
They should, yeah, because they got freaking 3. The stupid Packers, I can't. But they did go out and sign Zach Moss, who is considered their all-purpose number 1 guy right now. They do have Travion Williams, Chase Brown, Chris Evans, who has been a part of the team last year and into this year. I thought Brown was terrible last year when he was on the field, to be honest with you. I hate to, just watch the eye test. I don't know what his numbers looked like, but just the eye test was like, this guy's not good.
Probably agree from what I saw, which wasn't a lot.
But Travion Williams was okay, and Chris Evans came in from time to time, but I don't think he can have a real role. So Moss comes in as the clear guy. He did have some really big games when he was in with Indianapolis, especially when Jonathan Taylor was out. So there's some upside here. My problem is I think he's like half of Joe Mixon. So he's the guy now. There's no one sitting, he's not coming in for somebody and having a couple of good games. He's the guy and they're game planning for him. So I don't think Zach's going to have really great numbers. I think the Bengals will either be in the running back market on the on the waiver wire. They'll be in the running back market in free agency before training camp or after training camp when they realize they don't have any running backs. Or they'll go through the whole season with a terrible running back room, similar to what Minnesota did last year, and then they'll draft a guy or sign a guy in free agency. So maybe Moss will be good. He is going to get all of the volume. So if we're just talking about players, is that a good volume play? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's always tough. Who was it last? Is it Amir White? Oh no, he's this year, I guess. I guess it was Alexander Madison, where it's like a running back who we know isn't really great, but he gets this crazy opportunity, and most of the time those guys usually don't work out.
Yeah.
But he's right now, Fantasy Pros has him as running back 29. Yikes. So I would take a flyer on that just for opportunity. As RB29, why not? But if he starts moving up and he's like a RB2, I would pass on that. It is going to be interesting to see because I don't like any of these running backs that they have. But
no,
I do think Zach Moss will probably get majority of the work, and because of that, and if you believe in the Bengals at all, they should be a decent offense. So we'll see.
There'll be opportunity, but I think they're going to desperately need. We're going to be talking about their running game midway through the season. Be like, they don't have anybody. Okay, wide receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think with the additions on the offensive line, it gives Joe Burrow more time. Quick thoughts are Chase and T. Higgins are going to be fine. They'll be really good, and they're both draftable. As far as everyone else, I don't have any interest in any of them. No offense, guys. People will talk about Charlie Jones from Purdue, though.
Well, they did take Jerome Burton or Jermaine Burton.
He was
they took him pick? In the third round, he's probably going to be their wide receiver 3.
All right,
but year one, I don't really see anything from him. But I'll sneakily say though, This could be the year. We've ever since Jamar Chase has entered the league and had that big rookie year, he's been like getting drafted as like a top 3 receiver, and he hasn't quite lived up to his expectations. Partly because he was injured, and then Joe Burrow was injured, and like they just haven't clicked since his rookie year. This could be the year where Jamar Chase has a wide receiver, like is the wide receiver one.
Yeah, that could be. It could be it. Is he the wide receiver one right now, ranked?
No, he's like wide receiver 5.
Okay.
He's right behind Jefferson.
Smash, bro. I want all of that. I want all that noise.
He could be getting him.
Ooh.
Gotta get a top 5 or 6 pick though.
Think wide receiver room is okay for the Bengals. Just okay. At tight end, they have Mike Gesicki.
Dude, if Higgins actually plays this year, this might be their best fantasy year, Higgins and Chase. Because these guys might get like 150 targets each.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
The rest of their team kind of blows, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it sucks. They did have, like I said, they did add Gesicki. Don't have much fantasy expectations for him. I don't see how he does any better or worse than CJ Uzomah did or whoever else, Drew Sample last year. So we'll see. We'll see if maybe he can carve out a role, but I don't think it'll be big. All right, was that the Cincinnati Bengals right there?
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about
not gonna lie.
Let's talk about the Cleveland Brownies.
Yeah.
Now, this guy you can say is mid. Deshaun Watson. Holy mid can. Freaking garbage can of a quarterback ever since he
Since he what?
I censored myself. I'm censoring myself. I'll hold it back.
Well, since his hiatus
had unwarranted sexual relations with other women. Unwanted.
Since that has happened, like he's literally been terrible. Like he just forgot how to play football.
Yeah, he just forgot how to play football. You used to love that guy. He sucked.
Well, yeah, it was before he, But he had 3 straight years as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. 2018, 2019, 2020, QB 555.
He was
and he missed the game.
He was cooking.
And then he goes to Cleveland and just
Yep.
doesn't remember how to play football.
Yeah, he just forgets. Yeah, I mean, we can keep doing this with Deshaun Watson where we're like, oh, he's going to be good at quarterback. Yeah. And then we could be, I think it's over. I think we can be realistic that it's kind of over. I do think he's better than quarterback 21, which is where Fantasy Pros has him. So, I mean, late round flyer alert.
Sure. 15th round. Why not?
Is that where that is? Gee whiz.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a better. Okay, right now, would you rather have Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson? Who's winning that war right now?
Dude, honestly, in real football, I'd take Baker.
Yeah.
But for fantasy, I'd probably take Deshaun just for the rushing.
Oh, I agree with that for fantasy.
I don't know. I mean, I would take Watson. I would. But if he plays like he did last year, like he might be out of the league when his contract's up.
Hey, Jameis Winston's waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
The famous. Win is in his name.
I would take him in the 15th round, though.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's a good flyer pick that maybe he can give you a base floor performance while you're waiting on a young guy, but I don't even know that I'd start him.
No.
All right, let's talk about the running backs. Nothing really new here. They still have Jerome Ford. They still have a Nick Chubb. The big news here for the Cleveland Browns is Nick Chubb tearing his whole knee. They took his leg off and put a new one on.
And he's 28 years old.
So I don't know what this is going to look like for Nick Chubb. I'm hoping that he comes back, has a bounce back, wins comeback player of the year, right? And everyone's talking about how great Nick Chubb is. I want that for him. I just don't know. Like the injury happened so short into the season that he had a lot of time to recover. So it's like, I don't know if it's going to fully affect him this year, but it was such a friggin' dramatically bad injury that, like, is it going to mess him up? So I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what Nick Chubb's gonna look like.
Yeah,
He
I've
has
been
he has
staying away from
significant.
him.
Yeah, I was about to say that he has significant. What we like when we're scouting for fantasy football is guys who we can predict and
Yeah,
guys that we think are going to be better. And we'll take calculated risks sometimes, but this is one where there's just so much uncertainty around Nick Chubb that it's like, do you want to risk your draft selection on a guy that got hurt? And I like this, Rick. That comment you made a second ago means you're learning, because you draft injured guys all the time in the home league, and then you go, why? Why does my team always get hurt? Well, I can tell you why. But you just said something that means you're learning.
He is running back 35. You never know. You can't
He's backtracking already. It's been 10 minutes.
If you draft Nick Chubb, like it's
you can't,
as a bench player that you hope just has wins comebacks.
That is actually ridiculous. Like if we were talking about a guy in the first like 4 rounds, I would be like, ugh. But
no, he's like round like 12 right now, 11. Like
holy crap.
He's down there. Yeah. Well, dude, he's still not practicing. So like,
oh, that's not good.
For OTAs and stuff, he wasn't practicing, and I think last
141.
Last I checked is that they don't even know if he's going to be practicing in training camp. There were some people that said like his career might be over after that injury.
I'd take a.
But I mean, hey, if he comes back, then he can.
We like Flyers.
Plays well, and more power to him.
We like Flyers.
Yeah. And I don't know if this helps, but Nick Chubb documenting journey from knee injury, so maybe he'll get a emotional lift from his documentary.
Yeah, we need that emotional lift.
Yeah, I don't know.
If Nick Chubb is out and gone, though, what are your thoughts on Jerome Ford? Quickly, we got to get to the.
He's all right. I mean, I'd probably take. He's probably. Would you take him over Zach Moss? Like it's just another like one of those like eh.
Yeah, there's a lot of at the running back position.
And look at the depth they have too. The guys they brought in, like that to me says that they are unsure, and they're just gonna throw people out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they like Jerome Ford.
Foreman.
If we're being honest, like I think they like Jerome Ford.
Yeah, he would be the guy for sure.
He's right now ADP on.
I think even if Chubb comes back and plays, I could very easily see them splitting, like a 50-50 split.
Yeah, that could happen. What if Chubb comes out and he's himself? How long does that split last?
It would be a miracle.
Yeah, it would be an absolute freaking miracle. But yeah, I right now there's not like I wouldn't draft a running back on this team in the top 100.
Yeah.
So that's how bad it is right now.
You have to draft one though. Do you take Chubb over Ford?
I would probably take Chubb over Ford because both of them you're not drafting to play.
Yeah.
So I would take Chubb because he has we know what his ceiling is.
Yeah.
As opposed to Ford, where Ford is like mid. If Chubb is even 85% of what Chubb was,
yeah,
he's still very good. So,
right.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move to the receiver room. Lots of garbage. They did add Jerry Jeudy this offseason.
They gave him a fat contract too.
They also added Jamari Thrash. Love that name. I wish he was a little bit faster because it would be really fun to have Thrash in the defense. But he's drafted in the 5th round. So, yeah, you got Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Jamari Thrash, and then Amari Cooper, old man. I don't know how long Amari Cooper can continue to have success in the NFL. And Jerry Jeudy just drops every. I honestly don't like anyone in this receiver room. I'm not gonna lie.
They gave Jerry Jeudy $17.5 million a year.
So number 1 target for Deshaun Watson.
They're gonna use him. I mean, so they used last year. They used a ton of 3 wide receiver sets. I think they're gonna stay doing that.
Yeah.
Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. It's sad because I actually like Moore and Jeudy.
Oh, not around Cooper
as players. But I mean, fantasy wise, it's just if Deshaun Watson was 2019 Deshaun Watson, I would love this Cleveland Browns team. And Nick Chubb never got hurt. Do that. I'm a Nick Chubb guy. I was a Jerry Judy guy.
I'd be sweating.
They got some guys, but
they got some
with Deshaun Watson being
dogs.
a shell of himself, it's kind of hard to be in on any of these guys, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. I do think that there's not much. Like, I think Amari Cooper is better than what they had. I mean, Deshaun Watson is better than what they had running out there last year when Watson was hurt.
Joe Flacco, bro? I don't know.
Oh, that's fair.
He was throwing 300 yards a game.
That's true, but he was also, like, hucking 4 picks, so, like...
That's true.
I don't
300
know.
yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Is 252 touchdowns or 300, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks?
For fantasy, you would probably want the last one.
That's minus 10 fantasy points. Minus 8 fantasy points.
Well, for the receivers, though.
Oh, for the receivers? Yeah. Oh, that don't matter. He's friggin' cook.
I will say, I'll take a flyer on Jerry Judy before Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Jerry Judy has great route running ability, and if he figures it out, and this is probably the best offense he's been in. So we'll see if Watson maybe can elevate himself a little bit, and make Jerry Judy better. But I think Cooper's older, so like I don't really know what to project with him. As guys get older, the uncertainty thing does increase. So like I haven't liked him, but if he's okay, then I mean it's not a horrible idea drafting him, especially if the ADP is not bad. Currently on Underdog, his ADP is 41, so I hate that. But if it does go down, might be okay. Judy is like if you had to play the ADP game, ADP of 123. So I would rather have Jerry Judy at his ADP than Amari Cooper. But
I was just gonna say too that I wouldn't mind drafting Amari Cooper, but 41 is just too high.
It's because he's so old. It's the I don't like that. I hate.
If he was in the 60s, dude, I would take him.
Yeah, for sure. But lots of mid in this wide receiver room. I wouldn't be shocked if none of these guys. Well, I mean, Cooper could be a wide receiver too, but I would not be shocked if any of these guys don't reach wide receiver 2 status.
But he's like a low end wide receiver too, I think.
And then tight ends. David Njoku last year. Rick and I didn't spend any time talking about this in the offseason, but we finally got the breakout season for David Njoku.
I know. It took him his whole career.
He literally, so from week 7 on, 10, 17, 12, 11, 12, 11, 3, 27, 26, 16, 17, 16. So I'm like, whoa! But he's old as dirt, 28 years old.
He's 27.
He's 28.
27 according to Sleeper.
Okay. Oh, well.
Or even 20. That's a tight end, right? He's not a running back.
All right. You're right.
He's 27. Oh, he turns 28 next week, though.
I'm not going to lie. Looking at the receiver room, like Judy's good but drops everything. Thrash is a rookie. Elijah Moore is mid. And Amari Cooper is old. Like, is there a chance that David Njoku could just be the number 1 receiving option on this football team?
No, because I think Cooper will be.
Okay, that's fair.
But
that's a fair estimation.
He could be number 2. Here's the problem though with Njoku, who I like. I like Njoku. I think he's a good player. I've always liked Njoku, even though he never really. He was tight end 10.
Underdog ADP of 102
22.
though.
So he wasn't that bad. And then last year 10 and 6. So like last 2 years he's been good. He really broke out last year at the end of the season because of Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was just hucking him the ball. He was getting like 10 targets a game. With Watson, I don't know if they're gonna do that.
Okay.
I
mean it could be bad for him. I do like his ADP on Underdog right now, 102.
Yeah.
So like
sure.
if
I'll take him there.
That's what I was gonna say. Like if I'm not drafting tight ends high, like do I take a shot on David Njoku? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. All right. That's the Cleveland Browns. Move to the final team on this breakdown show, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who made uber decisions. It hurts my brain even thinking about it. Like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, both new to this team. Added in free agency, and then let's see who else they added. They drafted Roman Wilson. They added Van Jefferson in free agency.
Yep.
And that's about it in terms of their their additions. So let's start with the quarterback position. Russ, he sucks. He's bad. He's not good at this.
He's washed.
And he's washed. That's a more, sucks is strong. Washed is softer. People still like the Steelers fans are getting lubed up, and fantasy football people are getting lubed up. They're like, oh my God, Russell Wilson's gonna be good again. No, guys, he what? Last year,
bounce back year last year.
Last year, watching him, just forget about the numbers. Last year, watching him, he looked like Cam Newton. Like he freaking can't throw the ball.
Than what he used to be, and
So I don't see any. Justin Fields should be the starter week 1, but I don't think he has the brains to. No offense, Justin, I love you. To win the job.
I don't know. I think they want Russell Wilson to start.
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be a legitimate I think there's a legit chance Justin Fields starts week 1. But my guess is it's going to be Russell Wilson.
Sure.
But I will tell you that I think we're going to see both guys.
I'm adamant in saying that I believe it should be Justin Fields.
I would agree with you. I think it should be a good, like if I was the coach of Steelers, it would be best man wins the job. Like it would be a full competition.
What's the point of putting Russ? Like Russ is not, Fields has been in the league for 3 years. He's not going to be like, oh, teach me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would agree with you. I think Fields is probably better at this point in his career, but sure. I don't know. I don't like it either way.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
But I would prefer Fields for sure.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think for me, like Russ, if he starts, I want nothing to do with him. Fantasy football.
Yeah.
If Justin starts, all of the dynasty shares are saved.
If Justin Fields starts?
Yeah, if we're good. I'm low-key thinking about trying to trade for him in every single dynasty Superflex league I'm in.
Oh, okay.
That's probably a terrible idea. That will be a depreciating asset as soon as I trade for him.
Well, it probably doesn't take much to get him right now.
No, that's why I was thinking about it. But if he starts, he's better than anything they've had in a while. So, like, I just don't know how, like, right now with the way Russ's arm is, with the way he's not as athletic as he used to be. If you see Justin Fields running around, hucking the ball 75 yards down the field, like, I just don't see how you look at that and go, I can't start him. We got to start Russ. I don't know. I would be in camp going, well, Justin might throw more picks, but he's certainly better looking. What are we doing?
He can run.
They
both suck at passing, but one of them can run.
Yes. But so, like, to me, if Justin Fields does play for fantasy football purposes, he should be drafted in redraft, and he might even be like I don't know that I would draft him just because if he's not starting week 1, it's not worth drafting him. But I would certainly keep an eye on that Steelers situation very closely and dump as much waiver budget as I can on Justin Fields if Russ at any point poops out. Because Fields is a very valuable fantasy asset when starting. I'd honestly consider drafting him in the 15th round, just waiting for Russell to explode.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's a good idea. Okay. Sorry. Any more thoughts on the quarterback from you, Rick? I feel like I steamrolled. No. I got excited.
We can move on.
All right. Running back position, Rick, give me your thoughts here. We do have Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Cordell Patterson's corpse is still in the league. I think it's going to be between Warren and Harris, but what are your thoughts of these two running backs?
Yeah, it's kind of the exact same as last year, which was kind of mid. Najee Harris was actually RB23 and Jalen Warren was RB22.
Oh.
So
Whoa, okay.
I think it's interesting that I believe Najee Harris is getting drafted a lot higher than Jalen Warren, and I
I
don't
can let
really
you
know
know.
if
I can let
that's.
you know.
Oh, actually, no. I mean, Fans Pros has him ranked back to back, so that's kind of
ADP for
it's kind
Najee
of
Harris
fair.
on Underdog is 84, and ADP for Jalen Warren on Underdog is 90. So 6 spots off.
Yeah. Um, I think that's fair. That they're kind of 50-50. I mean, Warren is, to be honest, more efficient and gets more receiving,
Mm-hmm.
but Najee Harris gets more goal line touches. So it's like, and I think more rushing attempts in general. Kind of gross for either guy, but um, yeah, I'm not in love with either guy. I'll just say that. I guess at like pick 90 or whatever, or 84, you said for Najee Harris. I guess that's not too bad, but I can't say that I'm in love with either one.
Yeah. The first thing I look at, because I think for Najee's like definitely a massive volume guy. So
Yeah,
he always has been. Like, he needs the volume in order to have like fantasy success. And I think they liked Jalen Warren, and then they liked what they got out of him, but they also still have Najee, and I think they want to utilize him. So, like, I still see Najee probably getting 250 carries, but his success is contingent on the offensive line, because he hasn't really shown that he can be like a Saquon Barkley who just has success regardless of the scrubs that they put in front of him.
right.
They did add Broderick Jones, who's one of the best tackles in the class this year. And Troy, what's his name? Fawutanu. He was also one of the best tackles in the class. They drafted him in the first round. Or Broderick Jones was last year, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, he was last year. So they added
Yes.
Broderick Jones
No,
last
Brock
year.
Jones, I think was this year,
Nope. He
or
was
maybe
in
it was last
2020.
year.
He was 2023. Troy Fawutanu is this year.
Oh, that was this year. Yeah,
Yep.
you're right.
So they added those two guys to the offensive line. I do notice on Player Profiler a mistake on the offensive lineman, because they have Chuks Okafor Aurora, or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, they do,
He's
yeah.
on the Patriots.
He's on the Pats.
But they did make improvements the last 2 off seasons on the offensive line. So could that be a benefit for both Najee Harris and Jalen Warren? Yes. I would stay away from either one of these guys because I don't know. Like, Najee Harris having a higher ceiling at pick 90 is not horrible to me. Like, I would take the risk on that because he's not going to start for my team. But you just don't know with either one of these guys, and I don't want to choose one and be wrong on the other. You know what I mean? Unless you're taking both, which is, then you're just investing too much in a backfield that's not really that great. So,
Right.
I don't know what the upside looks like for either one of these guys going into the season, but we'll see. Maybe the offense will look better and Najee will look better and it'll move forward. But let's talk about the wide receivers. I really like George Pickens. I like he's got that it factor, that dog in him. It looks like
Got that dog.
He's gonna try to kill somebody legitimately and metaphorically.
Yeah.
The wide receiver 30 last year in a season where you thought he was gonna break out. He played 17 games, didn't really break out, and right now he's the wide receiver 40 with these new quarterbacks. I mean, he's going off the board as pick 40 and underdog ADP with these new quarterbacks, and that's really high to me. That's really high for a player that has had, this is his 3rd season. He's had 2 really good seasons. Last year was 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. So I like the upside of George Pickens, but I don't know if I like how high that caught it.
That's interesting because Fantasy Pros has him ranked as wide receiver 31. So that's more like 6th round, 5th round.
Yeah, I would smash that.
Yeah.
4th round, 3rd round, 4th round for George Pickens right now? No, thank you. But he did have 1,100 receiving yards last year and only 5 receiving touchdowns. So if he's in the vicinity of 7 or 8 receiving touchdowns, that would be really good. But the other guy that I wanted to reference really quickly is Roman Wilson, who they drafted this year, round 3, pick 20. There's comps to on Player Profile. The comp to him is Stephon Diggs. And people really like this guy. Like, when they drafted him, like, people are like, because when the Steelers draft receivers, you look
right,
because they get it right. So people started looking at Roman Wilson, ran a 4.39, had a 62nd percentile speed score. So, like, his college breakout age was 22, which is 13th percentile. Don't like that. But the Steelers drafted him. people are like, oh, he's going to take George Pickens. Like, let's see him play on a football field first.
Well, they don't have Deontay Johnson anymore, so I think he's their Deontay Johnson replacement.
I would say, but
he's a rookie though.
The more you say, I forgot about Deontay Johnson.
Like the Steelers this year.
I forgot
they
about
weren't good last. They actually made the playoffs, so I can't even say that. But
I forgot about Deontay Johnson, Rick.
Yeah, you kind of did. That's okay though.
Thanks for mentioning that because now I like George Pickens better.
Okay, well then there you go. I mean, if you're gonna take anyone on this team, it's Pickens. I actually didn't like them last year, and they made the playoffs, but it's mostly thanks to their defense. Their offense was not good. Mm-hmm. I don't think their offense is going to be good this year. I think this is like because they have Mike Tomlin, you can never say this, but I think on paper, they're like a 6-7 win football team. Okay. They do have a very good defense and a good coach, so they might sneak in the 8-9 win conversation again, but this offense isn't good. Pickens is good, fine. You want to take him at wide receiver 31? I would agree with you. That's good, but at pick 42 or whatever that is, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole there. Roman Wilson, fine, but he's a rookie, and he was a late third round pick. So it's like, what are we really doing here? Van Jefferson, whatever. You know, he was a third receiver, fourth receiver on the Rams, and you're telling me that a washed Russell Wilson is going to lead this group? I don't know. It's just not appealing to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I do, like I said, I do think that Russ and Justin Fields are probably better than the scrubs they had at quarterback last year. Yeah, not by a ton. Justin, I think, would be a large step, but Russ is like a you know.
I think those guys are better, but you also lose Deontay Johnson.
Yes, yeah, that's fair.
It's a kind of I would rather have the better quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think those guys are like significantly better. You know.
Let's talk about the last position here at the tight end position.
Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I was about to pull the helmet that I have here on my my desk and show it on camera, but I believe my camera timed out. So you're not going to see the helmet. But Pat Freiermuth,
good value, dude. Tight end 15, corner fantasy pros.
Yeah, and he's going off the board. I think between pick 121 and 135. I opened his profile. Don't want to open it again. So somewhere in that vicinity. I don't mind it, especially with losing Deontay Johnson. Like,
as I was just talking crap about the Steelers.
Yeah, seriously. They lost Deontay Johnson, so while I do think George Pickens will take some of that target share and Roman Wilson will pick up some of that target share, Pat Freiermuth will probably pick up a heavy portion of that as well. So
you know what? There's one thing that we have not talked about that I think is very important to note with the Steelers.
Oh boy! Oh no! It's the coach.
Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator. So expect
why do the Steelers do this?
Rushing and expect. So that might hurt Pickens actually, because they don't like to use their star players. Arthur Smith likes to do a lot of end arounds with random guys. He likes to run the ball. He likes to use the second tight end. I
will say he was better when he was with Tennessee. So I'm going to say that to make myself feel better.
Yeah, but either way, he's a rushing guy. So that maybe not Harris.
Because they just ran it with Derrick Henry no matter what.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, all right. That just changed our whole outlook. I still like George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth.
I do too, but I wouldn't take him in the third round.
No, I wouldn't take him.
Not even close, to be honest. Fifth round is where I start the conversation with him.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, that does it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That does it for the AFC North. That does it for the Norths. The North is completely the North is completely good. I'm trying to get the outro music going here so you can actually hear it. Yeah, the Norths are good. We're good on those. We got a lot of NFL teams to talk about. So be sure to keep on listening. 24 teams to go. We still got a show coming up next week. We'll talk to you later, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.